welcome to the Book and Brie Club. It's your host, Ryan Jackson, a maverick with a pen. We got our special guest, Erica, here.
Hey.
And welcome to Chef L's Kitchen, where we're going to host all of our podcasts here, just have that conversation, talk a little bit about the book, Unmute, and kind of get thoughts from my family, my friends, my mentors, and of course, take you guys up on this journey. So before we get started, make sure you have your cheese, your wine. As you can see, me and Erica have already gotten started so that you can be part of the book club. So, Auntie Erica.
Yes.
What's the last book you read?
Adult book or child book?
Both.
Well, I just read Mean Gene.
Okay. Yeah. What you got? Fourth graders?
Second graders. Adult book. I don't remember because I haven't read an adult book in a while because I just read a lot like the newspapers, stuff like that. So to sit down and read a book, I really don't have. I've been trying to get my time in. I don't have that much time to read a whole book, but excuse me, take it back. I read snippets of your book.
Okay.
Take it back. That was the last one. Yes, I read snippets of your book. And you want me to just go ahead on and elaborate on something? Just on the title. On the title.
So, like you said, you read snippets of the book. First, I want to talk a little bit about just also my experience with reading, right? Because I've never really been into it either. I mean, I like a lot of mysteries, but in terms of actually sitting down and reading a book, I did most of my reading because I was in my master's or my doctorate program. So a lot of my reading comes on a scholarly level. I like a lot of raunchy type of
I like romance. Those type of stuff.
I like that sometimes. But you're right. I have not yet really developed like that love for reading where I can like sit down and read a book. And I'm not even sure. I don't know. Like when you were younger, did Andrine like read to you a lot? Did Nana read to you? Did anybody read to you?
People might not believe it, but Jodine read a lot.
Andrine read a lot?
Yes, she read a lot. She had a nice little library when she passed. Yeah. So she read a lot.
What type of books?
Raunchy books. The raunchy books.
Nice.
But, she read a lot. She read a lot.
That's good. I never knew that. I felt like maybe I did see her always with a book in her hand.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things that I kind of remember. Like, like I remember that her pants always had the creases. Iron creases up in those pants, whether it was dress pants or jeans. I definitely remember that about Andrine. Her style was very like down to earth, like always dress up. I feel like her shirt was always tucked in, belt, nice jacket. Her and Joan I felt like similar styles. I don't know. Did they? Because I can't really. I remember, but I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Unmute. So I really developed the title just kind of not ashamed but scared to kind of say some of the experiences that I've had. So what are your thoughts on the actual title, Unmute?
Well, I was waiting for that because when I seen the title and like I said, the snippets of the book when I was reading, and then I thought about you, period, and I was like, unmute. I'm like, mute means to shut them down, and I was like, unmute. I was like, so Ryan, I took it out, and I was like, Ryan is like, you're not shutting me down.
Yeah.
And when I read about, like I said, some of the people and stuff in your book, then I came back to Ryan is not being shut down, and she has something to say. It's about to be said. Yeah. So fall back and go ahead and just listen because it's going to be said.
Yeah.
So I like, I was like, I like the title, Unmute. I was like, because you're not shutting me down.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to apologize for, what I say because you're just not shutting me down. So
and that confidence, to be very honest, it just came like a few months ago. Like I felt like when I started, which is why it is called Unmute, but we have that subtitle about navigating entrepreneurship as like a young Black apologetically, like I'm not apologizing, Black woman. I felt like that subtitle was needed because I really didn't feel that way. I felt like while I was going through it and while I was experiencing it, it was something that was going to affect me for like future jobs if I ever spoke about it. I felt like it was something that, not that I deserved, but I didn't feel like I was empowered as I was going through it. I guess if you can understand what I'm saying. I felt like, people, as I was trying to navigate through, I felt like people were just telling me like, yeah, well, you're going to go through this because you're young. And you're going to go through this because you're Black. And so because you're young and you're Black, like these are things that you have to accept that you're going to go through. And it wasn't until like at the end of my doctorate program, I started to feel like, you know what, like I can't help that I'm young. I can't help that I'm Black.
Exactly.
I'm doing what I'm doing because I have passion and I love it. And I'm not going to be upset that I speak about an experience that involved, especially my home district, because that is what the book really specializes and talks about, all of the experiences that happened there. And I think that working in other districts and the way that I'm treated, I mean, there's other districts that surround my hometown and I've never gone through those things with them. And they call me back year after year. They still want me. And so why was I still being invited in other places, but not my home?
I think as I was reading that chapter, I really was like, okay, so some other bad things was, in my head. And I was like, I will punch somebody out on Ryan, But when I read that and I said, I think they just a little fear, like here we was teaching her and then now she's coming back and she's showing us something. And it's like, I didn't, those who was there, it was like, I didn't move from this spot, but she moved here. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like she's doing workshops and she's, talking here. She's out of state. So I think some of them would just got that fear, like it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And it's her.
Yeah.
Because she was our student.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I picked up, I picked that up. I don't know if I know it, but I picked that up.
I feel like one of the things I love about being part of this family, right, is I go back to my childhood, right? Every summer I was with Andretti at Kennedy Park or Lincoln Park, right? And I think about the community pillar that she was, right? And when you are a community pillar, you see people who come back, like who have strayed away or people who have grown up. And it was always love shown. Like it was never like, oh, I see somebody that was young and now they grew up and they may have done this that I have not done. And it's any type of like hatred, right? It's always been love there. The same when it comes to you, like you see people who, you've seen grown up, they're doing different things and it's always love, right? And I feel like that's something within our family. I've never seen a family member who, if you see another family member doing great or a family member that has done something that surpasses you, you're like, I'm going to hate on this person or something like that. And so I felt like I could never understand, like I can't understand it. We're both educators, right? If I see my kids who I've taught and I see them later on in life, I can't see myself like being rude to them. You know what I mean? Like not supporting what they do. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like that's not something that's in our blood.
Nope, it's not. Because I have a young lady who, when I was at Franklin, she's now over at the school with me. And I didn't, when I seen her, and I'm talking, because it's like, let me tell you what's going on. Because I'm like, when, you got your job here, they're not going to tell you what's going on. But I was just telling her because I'm like, this used to be a student of mine.
Yeah.
And now let me just, let me let her know what's going on in the district. Like, you ain't going to know. They ain't going to tell you. We want you here. We need you, because we short staff, so we need you.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get the full gist of what's, going on. So,
all right, guys, we just took a quick break. We got Not Just Sports by No Laps up in the house.
Hello, everybody.
Joining in on our conversation. But what we were just speaking about was, and I'm not sure if you had a chance to kind of look at the book, but we were just talking first about the title of it, but like how you as a person, right? If you have experienced pupils that you've had in the past, right? And those people who you've coached, you've trained, you've taught, you see them in the future. Is it a love-hate relationship or is it straight love and support? Because based in the book, there's a lot of experiences, especially working in my hometown. I felt like, and Auntie Erica was talking about the fact that it was a lot of like negative tension because I came back to work in that district and I was in a different position other than a student. So what are your thoughts on that?
As far as I was concerned with players and students, there was some love-hate. But it was always hoping that they would go in a positive fashion, even though they may have been negative in their younger years, but it was always hope going towards a positive fashion. I would never want somebody to get hurt or arrested or anything like that. So I was always looking to be in a positive direction. But when it came to you, I was one of those people that you came to gripe to. And I always told you, when you think outside the box,
okay. Mm-hmm.
When you think it outside the box or you're moving a little differently than everybody else, you got to expect some type of repercussion. Okay? Because everybody don't think like you. And it's okay to be a little different. Okay? And it's okay. So I would tell you that all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you stuck with it and you've seen you're coming out the back end to see your fruition come to light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was people like the very people at this table, my family, my friends, who definitely continuously to encourage me. And I think as you navigate like through entrepreneurship, and I'm not sure if this is has anything to do with race, a black or white thing. I just feel like you need mentors to anchor you. You need people to continuously to go back, to anchor you, to continuously to remind you where you came from, your potential, where you need to go. Because if it wasn't for those conversations, if it wasn't for those examples that I had, if it wasn't for those seeds, I'm pretty sure I would have crumbled and fall. So I'm just going to ask you both, like in your journeys that you are navigating, right? Who has been or who was that anchor that you constantly went to kind of like, bring you back and remind you and to fuel you? All right, here you go ahead.
I'm going to stick with family still. When my mother was here, she was the one. And her thing always be, Jodine with her mouth.
Yeah.
It was given to me raw.
Yeah.
And it was like, Erica, don't give a F about them.
Yeah.
You have to do what you have to do. And now that she's gone, I still rely, Auntie, Uncle Donald's not here.
Yeah.
Aunt Joan's not here. Yeah. But Eric also, my son. Eric, Eric is quiet, but Eric does, things, when I be like, I just don't feel like being bothered with this community because sometimes some things, happens and it's like I think I'm doing something good, but yet and still, okay, I'm gonna get a little emotional. Sorry about that. I think I'm doing something good, but yet and still, you have that one person who is like, you ain't doing it, and it's like I know what I'm doing because when I look at my bank account, it's empty because I spent it on my community. But let's come back to it. Eric is that one, now. He's silent. You don't, hear, but he's that silent. And he send those nice texts to me. And they short, Mom, you got this. I love you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just pick me up. So that's what.
For me, it was actually 3 people. It was my mom, because my mom was a lot like your mom, right? My mom was rough, rugged, and raw.
Oh God, with the mom.
So that's how we got it from her. Mm-hmm. Also, my dad, because my dad was always the bouncer, because me and my mom was a lot alike, because I tend to be a little rough, rugged, and raw, and I'm trying to, work on cleaning that up. And also my wife, my current wife, because this is my second marriage, but my current wife has been, she's been a supporter of mine from day one. When I started coaching, that's when I met my wife. When I went back to school, my wife. So she's always been a supporter of mine. Mm-hmm. Even when I got sick, my wife. And I've been trying to, avoid. I don't want to say avoid doctors, but I'm trying to avoid grasping that I was ill. Right. So Ryan's been around when I was like, I don't want to take the medication or whatever it may be. But she has been the one who's been super supportive of me as far as even when they wanted me to coach girls, I wasn't too keen on coaching girls. I didn't know how to coach girls. But when they said it was softball, I'm gonna give this a try because I play softball, and it wound up becoming an extremely productive program for a couple of years, and I still keep contact with a lot of my girls. A lot of them, they still call, hey, Epps, how you doing, and all that other stuff. And even the football players, like they come over and just to have a drink and watch the game, So it always amazes me how the kids stay connected, right? Mm-hmm. Through sports or through activity. And there's one kid whom he lives around the corner, and me and him clash like a bad suit. But he is like one of my best friends. He called me the other day. Hey, how you doing, coach? And he's supposed to be coming over tomorrow and watch the game, so we'll see. But just being real, being genuine, staying grounded, staying with your people.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
My wife, to this day, she's still my biggest support.
Yeah. So when you guys get into the book, one of the first chapters is called Unveiling Gratitude. And it's just a dedication page for some people within.
Wait, before you go on,
go ahead.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Who was your biggest support as far as your journey through entrepreneurship and your book?
Okay, so I feel like I look at this in two different ways, right? Because the support professionally is very different from the support at home, right? Because you come at home, and I vent to my aunt and my Aunt Laverne, the first thing they're going to go to is the Word of God. Mm-hmm. First thing they're going to go to. And both of them constantly reminded me of where I came from. And being a Christian, you know that you can do all things, right? Yep. Through Christ, which strengthens you, right? Mm-hmm. So constantly giving me those messages that fueled me was definitely a support that I got from home. So I can spit out dozens of scriptures that my Aunt Laverne has told me in this very kitchen when I would, even my first job, right, that I had over at the middle school. Chef L, which you guys formerly know her as, that's my Aunt Laverne, who has made this delicious spread for us and will continue to. She was there for my first gig, right? And I remember as I'm preparing the night before, I'm like, you know what? I want to be able to feed these people because, Black people, you feed Black people. They're going to be good.
You do a little I can dig it.
It doesn't matter what it is, but you give them that food, they they are going to be fine. So I'm like, you know what? I really want to get some good food in them, no matter how this first job goes. And she was actually there to witness people's looks, people's demeanors, people's comments. And I remember after we had that first job, she said to me, she says, listen, look, you better go in there, you better stand tall, you better do what you are supposed to do, what is promised to you, what you can do. There's nothing good that God will ever withhold from you. And so I would say throughout the navigation journey, the home front, having that biblical push and fuel was something that I got at home. Always. It does not matter whether it was my Aunt Laverne or my Aunt Vicky. You was getting some type of word. So, be prepared for that. But on the professional front, I would say Rhonda, Janine, Dexter, Cassandra, Betty, even Nicole. Those 6 people, which is a range of teachers and administrators.
Okay.
They were people where I actually went to 2 of those teachers during my college life to do observations, because part of being a teacher when you go to college, you got to do observation hours, and I sat in their classes, and so they seen me from sitting in a class to being able to student teach and so forth and so on. And they constantly reminded me that people don't like change. Yeah. And when you are a change agent, you are going to have to face what people have to say negatively about you, what people do negatively towards you. You're going to have to fight because people do not like change, and especially change coming from a young, and that was always something I always heard, a young Black woman. They do not like change. And so I constantly would go to them not only for advice, but there was some things they would go to me about because there was talk that they heard around, right? When they were in the teacher's lounge or when they were in union meetings, when they were in superintendent meetings, my name came up, which is something that was extremely hurtful. And you will see that in my book, that I constantly couldn't understand why my name was the subject of a lot of conversations that had nothing to do with positivity. And they kept telling me, like, listen, don't allow where people are in their lives to dictate where you go in your life. And so,
exactly.
And so when I was going through it, it was tough. When I tell you it was tough, it was so hard. It's intimidating when you go to speak to people that you know that can't stand anything about you. It's so intimidating to be in a room of people who are there, who they don't realize that they're doing it, but they're there to sabotage you or to trick you up and to ask you questions. And I remember my first job, Oliver was like, you was just going, you was just answering, you was good. And you have to constantly, I remember reminding myself that every time I spoke, I had to watch very carefully what I was saying, because I did not want anyone to label me as angry or as an aggressive Black woman. And that's something that as women, and I don't know, you can talk to this too, something as women, sometimes when you go to be stern or when you stand strong, it comes off as aggressive. And that I did not want. So I had to constantly remind myself, anytime I spoke, it would be like that voice in my head that's like, remember to sound soft, remember to sound positive, don't sound how you want to sound. Especially when we were talking about mothers. Yeah, I know my mother Robin was. She was a thug, okay? She was a thug, okay? And even though I was raised by great Christian women, I still got that thuggish in me. And sometimes I can say things that are stern. And so, the family and the professional definitely, they kept me going. And I was telling you, there was times where I remember, like, I I would cry for hours and hours. And then after I cried, I had to look for the positive within the negative. And that's so hard when you're at that moment of trying to like reshape the experience to find something positive in everything that is negative.
So, with all that being said, did you think, and I don't want this to be an interview of you, but
No, you're fine.
did you think that there was a racial overtone to your thought process, or you?
I read it. I read it when I know that was questions for her, but I'm saying, but when I read it, I picked up. That's what a little bit that I picked up on.
So when you see the white teacher or the Hispanic teacher who doesn't believe in what you are putting down, do you take it as like trying to reel them in, or yeah, that's what you're gonna think, let me move on and get the people to whom I could grasp as put them on my team? Who can I put on my team, as opposed to thinking about the negative?
I think it has little snippets of both. What I try to do is remind them that we're all there for the kids.
Right.
Like what I'm doing and what I stand for is for the improvement and the success of the kids. Mm-hmm. So it's not about what I'm doing. It's not about what I look like. It's not about what I portray. It's about when I go and we talk about these different strategies that may work and we go into the classroom, it's about what are the kids doing? Mm-hmm. Like, are the kids enjoying it? Mm-hmm. Are the kids active? Are the kids participating more? And that's how I try to phrase it, because if I try to say, doesn't matter what you think, I'm just going to try to get certain people on my team, I feel like I am not doing my job as a consultant to try to support everybody. And that's one of my messages as, of my business, is that everyone can learn. Every student can learn. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have students that have behavior issues. And I know, Auntie Erica,
yes,
you have some insights about that.
Especially working special ed.
You got kids who don't want to hear it. You have kids who are going to be into it. And so, believe it or not, you got to look at that in the same way, in that same lens of teachers that I work with, because you're going to have teachers that feel like they know every single thing. You're going to have teachers that feel like there's nothing that you can tell them because they have success. And you're going to have teachers who are open-minded, who are willing to try. You have that spectrum. So what I try to do is find the common ground and try to say, listen, I'm not here to tell you how to teach. That's not what this is about. This is me showing you that there is a outside the box, different approach so that you can reach a broader audience, because that's what it's really about. It's about the kids.
Yeah.
And so having that mindset of like starting with them, to me, I felt got me a little bit of a common ground, but I realized that I was not going to make everybody happy. And I realized that people were not going to get past what I look like, how I talk, what I say. They're not going to get past that. And how was I still able to do my job in an atmosphere like that?
And that's the point, because that's the same thing that, like, it always annoys me when black people say, Barack Obama wasn't a great president for us. He wasn't the president for black people. He's the president for the United States.
Yeah. Yes.
So there's some people in Omaha or North Dakota who are going to love him, believe it or not, even though he's a black man. Yeah. And there's some black people who can't stand him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I always, I'm always intrigued by, I don't want to say the wrong thing. The education world could be a little bit of a weird business at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in New York State.
Yeah.
Because if you was probably in Florida, you'd probably be a professor of a math professor or something, although you are.
Yes.
But it'd be a little bit more Big Willie is what I'm trying to say, outside of New York and the tri-state area basically.
Yeah, yeah.
So I always wondered about that. I never asked you, but I always wondered, was it a little funky with the? Because I didn't want that to be an excuse either for you either.
Yeah.
That's the other part of it. I didn't want her to be like, well, they didn't like me because then. No, we're not doing that. And I think women, this is another thing, I think women are more in touch with their, let me be a little softer side than men are.
Yeah.
Because I run into problems with that. Soft, all that goes out the window.
Yeah. And looking at my base, right? Looking at my support system professionally, out of the people that I named, majority of them were women. There was one man that was definitely there for me as well, but majority of them were women, and my whole professional base was African American. But if you read my book, and if we go further into it, which we will, you'll see that one of the administrators that gave me the toughest time, that put me through the most trials and tribulations, was a Black man. And so it was a Black man that was my administrator when I was in school. So had known me from a student. And this is also what we were speaking about in the beginning of our conversation, is like, as educators, we teach, these students, we know that our students are going to grow up, they're going to be successful. And, I would always want to support a former student of mine. Like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say support them in anything. Of course, that goes to what you're saying. You always want them to do well and succeed. But I think one of my biggest downfalls and hurt during these scenarios that we're going to speak about in a minute is that I felt that, well, you guys, this was my foundation here. Like I you guys made me who I am educationally here.
That's the part that really was a kick in the leg for me. Like, you have a former student, you probably taught, you was probably her administrator, and you giving her a hard time from things that she learned from
you. And I was an honor student, a high honor student. I was on principals list. I was in honor society. I was in SAT. I was in all these programs. You've seen me in all of these sheds of light, and then I am now being put through the ringer because I excelled at a young age, because I decided to become an entrepreneur at the age of 26. I mean, isn't that what we are instilling, right?
Exactly.
And so I think that was the biggest shock. What I want to do is I want to go to
excuse me, can I ask Chef L for is she back
some
here
more
still?
wine? Yeah, Chef L, come up in the screen for some more wine.
This wine is
It's good.
What's the name of this wine?
It's Moscato and peach, right, Auntie?
That's Moscato
and peach. Well,
so what I want to do while we're getting our they're getting their glasses refilled, I just want to read an excerpt.
Okay.
That is, what is it?
Mix, yeah.
Oh, Moscato. Okay, it was good.
I want to read an excerpt from a chapter, the beginning chapters, which is called An Invitation to Understanding and Collaboration. And I really wanted to write this chapter because as I was writing this book, I had
Thank you, Chef Al.
a colleague that I do admire literally say to me, like, you better be careful about this book because you are talking about all these experiences, and even as you read the book, you'll notice that there's no like specific names being mentioned, no specific school names, even though I do mention that it's my hometown. I guess if someone wanted to research me, they'll find out where I grew up, but there's no specific names. But this person still said to me, like, you better be careful because you don't want this to affect your future collaborations with either that home district or other districts. And when that person said that to me, I literally was like, well, that's one of the reasons why I call it unmute, because I feel like sometimes people want you to be quiet.
I was just about to say,
right?
the title says it all. Unmute. You're not shutting me up. And I'm not gonna, like you said, not gonna be apologetic for what I say.
Yeah, or what I actually went through. It would be one thing if it was lies, but these are true facts. And so even in that moment of me feeling like this is a liberating experience, even though in that moment of feeling empowered, still you have people that will want to mute you for reasons I have no idea. So I just want to read this excerpt and then we'll talk about it. So it says, to the schools of tomorrow, unmute stands as a testament to the unyielding dedication to educational progress. Within its pages lie the narrative of navigating entrepreneurship as a young, Black, and unapologetically ambitious woman. It's not a cautionary tale, but a roadmap. I yearn not for punishment, but understanding. I wish for you to comprehend the struggles faced, the battles fought, and the resilience earned. So I felt like as I was writing this, why do I even have to write this? But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
You're talking to a guy who pretty much don't give a damn.
I was like, trying to hold that.
Like, there are some things that we have to face in our lives that we don't like about ourselves and that we may not like about each other. I'm plenty capable of just not dealing with certain people, and I'm plenty capable of that. But you're also in a position where you're servicing others. So I don't want to say you need to be careful in what you say, but you need to be smart in how you give the information.
Exactly.
You got to tighten it up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and that's all. Because guess what? We're all adults. We can walk in the room and tell when people don't like you.
Yeah.
I can walk in the room right now. He don't like me. That's cool. And I'm not going to here to raise hay or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to finish what we started, and I'm also big on that. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
You know, so I would just want you to take a lot of what people give you as, you know, take the information from it, but a lot of it is just a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Know? Yeah.
But get the information. So that who is that person telling you to? You might want to watch your mouth. Like, who is that person? What does that person do for a living? Like, are they successful? You know, who is telling me this? That's how I would look at it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I'm definitely unapologetic about being honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a coach, so I also, you know, I kind of run into similar situations. Like, you run into a situation where a kid is awful at the sport, and you have to tell this poor kid who is fantastic as a little league player, and he was 5 feet, 145 pounds, and now he's a senior and he's 5 feet, 145 pounds. That, you know, this just might not be for you.
Yeah.
You know, or the kid who's 5'11", 160 pounds and think he's going to play NBA basketball. It's just not going to happen for you. So you have to be honest in certain things. Exactly. And then these people get mad at you. These parents actually get mad at you. You know,
but they know it's the truth. But that's why they mad, because they're like, "Dang, you said it. I was thinking it." You know.
Yeah. Like, I'll invite you down to practice. Come down to the practice. Come watch your baby. You tell me, can your baby play? You know. So you got to figure out, like, who you get this information from and what you need from them.
Yeah. That's like, you know, a chapter in the book. I kind of wrote a letter to myself, and it is it's a letter that I felt like I had to write, especially knowing what I know now, and if I had to you know, speak to my former self that I was going through it. And, you know, as I was writing it, I can feel how much stronger I am now. And I feel like a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm about to be done this doctorate. Like, a lot of it has to deal with the fact that I'm getting ready to defend.
Because you're gaining confidence.
A lot of it has to do with that.
Exactly.
Because like, at this point, like, listen, I'm a doctor, bro. Like, I'm not going to, if you feel like you want to bring me into work, bring me in. If you don't, you don't. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not doing that anymore. I felt like when I first started, I had to do a lot of, like, you know, finessing, you know.
That's called growth.
Yeah.
It's called growth. Like, don't be apologetic because you've grown.
Growing, exactly.
Like, don't be apologetic for that. You know, I'm not apologizing. Listen, same thing with me. I started out as a Pop Warner football coach.
Okay.
Then I graduated to be an assistant. Then I graduated to be a head job. I thought of this the other day when I became the head coach at Uniondale, and my cousin came out to watch the game. It's the game we beat Hicksville in the last drive.
I was just gonna say Hempstead.
No.
Okay.
But we beat the last drive of the game, and my cousin came out and she came to hug me, and she said, and she looked around and the place was packed. It was a nice day at Uniondale, and she said, "All this is you." And that's something that still sticks to me. That still sticks in my head is that she thought that all of this was me. And it really isn't me because it's about the players. I don't give a damn about, you know, you could only be as good as your players. You could be only as good as your students. You could only be as good as your students. That's it. You know, because we also live in this world where you all are graded or you get tenure based on how tight you are to the script.
Yeah.
How tight you are to the script.
Yeah.
Politics. Yep.
You know, and it's unfortunate because you're probably a fantastic teacher. But are your kids passing the, what do they call it?
State assessments and regional exams.
And that really, that's tough to live by.
Yeah, definitely.
That's tough to live by. And then you get these teachers who say, hey, I'm going to stick to the script so tight that they cannot not give me tenure. And then once they get tenure,
they become exactly. I was going to say, they go back.
So
exactly.
It's tough. It's tough to be a teacher today, especially in New York City.
Yeah.
The state of New York, I should say.
All right, guys. Well, we're getting ready to go into this last segment. We're gonna enjoy our chicken and cake as I read
chicken and cake.
The synopsis. Sorry.
Oh, chick and cake.
No, chicken cake is the name of the business, but we're gonna eat chicken and cake, right? Okay. We had to correct that. Chef Bell is on the premises.
Yes, Chef
Bell.
Bell.
Make sure we say these things right. So we are going to eat chicken and cake from Chicken Cake. Yes, there we go. Okay, we got to get it right. Black excellence over here. So we're gonna have our last meal together, and of course toast some wine. But before we go into our last segment, any last thing you guys want to say? This is the kickoff to the book tour.
I just want to say that I am so proud of you. I text you that all the time. That just to see, people still think you my child. I still get that question is how's your daughter? And I'm like, I don't have a daughter. And then I think like, I remember Eric and Ryan, grew up together and always had them. So that's the first thing they said. But I am so proud of you. Yeah. Like just this from here to here to here. And now we about the doctor. It's like, man, so I'm just super duper proud. Like I don't know, sometimes I can just be like, dang. What if Jody was here? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I can see like that goddamn Ryan. But it's just always just nice to see. I like to see, not to throw one, but our whole family. Everybody. I look at the refrigerator because I have Justin's picture on there. It's so funny. His baby picture was on the top of my refrigerator and it fell, and I was like, look at Justin still looking the same. And I'm like, Justin about to graduate high school?
Yeah.
Like everybody, Auntie Vern with her business, I love to see it. Just see it in you and Eric, the kids, everybody just, here, everybody wanting to just go here and not to come down. Even Janisha,
Yeah.
because I say to her, who the hell let Janisha be somebody's supervisor?
That's
what I keep
she
saying.
take her job seriously.
She take it serious. Yes,
she put on her voice.
When she talked to me, when she was talking to me about it, and my mind still was going. Sometimes I don't see Janisha, I see Robin. And I'm like, all right, I remember when Robin worked. Robin was good, you know what I'm saying? People person, but just happy for you.
Quick funny story about that when you was talking, because mommy had told me about this time she had lied on her resume. She had went to go for this job to be a hotel manager, right? And she was talking to me. She says, "Look, Ryan," she said, "I went to this job." She says, "And I lied on my resume. I told them that I've done this before. I have experience." She said, "And the first day I came to work," she says, "I'm thinking they're going to teach me, how to do it. All I had to do is talk the talk." She says, "No, they came and they put me as a manager of people." She said, "I was on site," and she said, "What got me is that, when you're a manager, you got to be able to do scheduling and do it, all that." She said, "I lasted 1 hour on that job before they knew that I lied on my resume and I never did no management." But when you said that, mommy was a chameleon. That was one thing she was, very resilient at working. Now, what she did there when she got to the job, that's something different, because I got some stories to tell you about mommy.
Please, I can tell you a couple of my own
stuff.
Well, my thing is a little bit different, because I was your softball coach.
Yeah.
And here she is with barrettes in her hair, and being a bang, whatever he was doing, but we kind of connected right away.
Right. Yeah.
And being that we connected right away, I'm a man, and one of my best friends as a student is a young girl, and she is living with 2 women, and the 2 women, they say, "Hey, he's not too bad a deal," and they trusted me with their niece, so that was always something that always stuck out to me. And then she eventually meets my wife, and my wife is like everybody's mama. She's a little bugged out at times, but she also connected with my wife, and being that she connected with my wife, the relationship got a little more father-daughter, and she does call me dad, so it's something that I always say that I got 3 and a adoptive daughter. I always say that.
I eat over there like I'm a
you do eat over there like that. And so because there's times when we clash, but as the father-daughter thing happens, that's what happens with a dad and a daughter. She's she's expressing herself, I'm expressing myself, but in your home, things go your way. And, when you're home, things go your way. If I walk into her house and she tells me to take my shoes off, guess what? I got to take my shoes off. But those are things that always happen between the father and the daughter. And I do appreciate her aunt. I appreciate her mom, because they entrusted my family to take care of her. And a lot of women wouldn't be too forthcoming in that situation.
Right. Yeah.
So I still call Ryan to this day. "Hey Ryan, what's going on?" We have small talk, and then we have these deep talks. The conversation with Marie, which is good, the conversation with Marie may be a little different than the conversation between me and her. Right. She also connected with Shelby, which I think helps Shelby. Like, Shelby finally told me she had a boyfriend, and I knew that came from her.
I did. I'm like, you gotta spill it. We can talk about how you can do it, but we gotta spill the beans. Okay?
Yeah, I know it came from her. She knew before everybody else knew.
I do.
But I just appreciate her and her family in trusting us with her.
Right.
Yeah. And it just goes to show you, as you are navigating, like in life, you need these lifelines, just to go back to my Auntie Erica right here. I can't remember an event that happened that she was not there for me. And that means a lot because, having that person in your corner to constantly look at, like she says, like that mother figure. My mom was not always there for every single event, despite me knowing that she loved me. I do remember her at my 5th grade graduation, and they were telling, everybody, please do not clap until everybody goes.
Yeah. And
she was like, that's right, that's my baby.
No one clapping.
But it is great to have these people in your corner because you need them. You need to see these faces. You need that part of your journey in order for you to continuously to navigate towards success. And as you can see, your circle is not just family. It's people who are outside of blood relatives that are needed too. And everyone is a part of my story here. From what you see us munching on to my lovely videographer over here, Corey, shout outs to him for making this happen. You need that circle in order for you to navigating. Navigating is not something that you can do alone. And please do not do it alone if you are on a journey. And it doesn't matter if you're going into entrepreneurship or any journey you're going into, you need a foundation, and you need a foundation of people. And so the kick of this book tour was for you to at least be able to learn a little bit about Unmute. I'm going to read an excerpt as we do eat our chicken and cake from Chicken Cake, right? Don't want to mess it up because I will get yelled at the end of this podcast here. But I just want to read an excerpt because we are going to be on tour from starting on the 27th of January all the way up to Juneteenth. I'm having an in-person book signing on the 9th, but we will be back next month.
Will you be telling us where we're at, or just the...
On the 9th?
Yes.
Oh, the 9th. Oh, we're using this as home base of all events. Gotcha. The CEO of Chicken Cake will be providing us with all meals going forward. And so we're going to keep this family oriented. We're going to keep this nice and intimate. And I'm just hopefully planning on building a following from this, building listeners, so forth and so on. But definitely, if you have not joined the Book and Brie Club, please follow us on Facebook. Reach out to me on Facebook. I'll send you guys the link to join so that you can subscribe to all of our events. I'll send you a nice copy of the book, the ebook, a sample so that you can read it. But I never asked you, Auntie Erica. So you say you read snippets of it. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, is it an easy read? Is it interesting?
It's an easy read. Remember when I asked you, I said, how many pages? Because I was like, I'm not going to be sitting up reading 200 pages, off of my phone, But it was an easy read, It just explained from, this chapter to this went right in straight through. And like I said, on my lunch break, I pick it up, read through it again, trying to skip over that. I'm going to skip over that one with the people on the hating, because I was mad. And I was like, I'm going to skip over this one,
You can't be mad at the hate. Because all the hate does is motivate. That's what the hate do.
It's not the mad at the hate. It's the mad at Ryan. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't seeing it as, I'm seeing it as, this is my rah-rah. I didn't see it as the people. I see it as, this is my baby, Ryan. This is what, oh no, please don't let me have to go to this school because I will have a problem because I'm going to be searching, But that, it wasn't the hate on, it was the hate like, on Ryan. But then, like I said, as I read it and that, I was like, that's right, Ryan. We ain't apologizing for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Unapologetic, we're not shutting up. So if you don't like it, too bad. I'm not going to, I know you probably be like, too damn bad. Right? But it's like, too bad. Like, you don't like it, too bad.
Yeah.
too bad, you know, like you just
We
said.
just saw Cat Williams, right?
Oh
We
God.
saw Cat Williams.
Was he
on,
together?
Shay Shay, right?
Oh, okay.
And one of the
Okay.
things he said, and if you got through all the hate of the comedians and all that other stuff, if you get through who Cat Williams is well read, and he knows that Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I forgot exactly what he said, but what he said was, the truth is always going to resonate.
Yeah.
The truth is always going to resonate. No matter what you say, no matter what he say, the truth will always resonate.
Yeah.
Okay, so where everybody can be mad, Steve Harvey mad, Cedric Entertainer mad, but what they did not say is he's lying.
He's lying, right? Exactly. That is so true.
Okay, so they never said he lying. So the truth will always resonate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the type of stuff, you know, that made me think, hey.
Yeah, well, mine was just personal, you know.
Yeah.
It was personal.
And it's the first time I ever said anything about it. And that's what it is.
Yeah, and it was personal.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, what? Ryan? Oh, no, we're not having that. But it wasn't, you know, it wasn't nothing, you know. But then again, I come back to, as we say, she was a student. And now you're mad? Like, we should be, like, super duper happy. Like, she's back here. This is our home. This was our hometown girl right here.
She teaching in the place where she lives, or where her family comes from. She's helping your neighbor, her neighbor. What are we talking about?
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. We should have been,
people
like,
weird.
super duper, you know? We're happy. I'm happy for her. I don't care. You know, I was mad because I was district and get her, but, you know, I'm still happy for her, you know?
Absolutely.
Still happy, you know? I say to our district, like, look what happened. Look where she's going. You missed out, you know? You missed that.
Yeah. So Aunt Laverne, Chef L, sorry, that's the character. Chef L is gonna come and give us our chicken and cake. But I just want to read an excerpt for our listeners.
So, one thing I did want to say that for me, this is super dope coming from a young black female. Because you are also seeing other young black females follow, you know, because we see everybody twerking.
Yep.
We see everybody twerking, carrying on, but, you know, nobody's seeing this side of a black woman. And my daughter happens to be one of those people who are into numbers, you know, so it's super dope coming from a black female. That is super dope. And I always say this, that women are going to be the ones to save America. They're going to be the ones, not men. Not men. Get these men out of governors, get them out the mayorship, get them out of that. You're going to have to put a woman there because women have more common sense than men for the most part. And I'm a man.
And I was going to say, and that's coming from a man.
I'm a man. That's a whole fact. So it's super dope to see her.
Thanks.
Black girl up there.
So I want to read two excerpts.
Up here.
The first is from the chapter Dear Ryan, which is a letter to my past self from my future self. And I think that this would shed some clarity on what Auntie Erica was saying in terms of the anger, the passion that she was feeling. So again, like I said before, guys, we're going to have dozens of podcasts into the book signing, talking about different portions of the book. I really, really hope that some of the things that you guys heard today resonates with you. But this right here in a last excerpt is going to be it for our podcast for today. But definitely catch us next month in February for our next podcast, where we dive deeper into some of these experiences that I encountered. So the excerpt from Dear Ryan, it says, Ryan, their validation isn't necessary. I understand there was a time when you thought you needed it because those individuals had a significant impact on you. Remember the incident in the teacher's lounge when a former math teacher sparked conversation about you? Walking into that space to support another teacher only to have a former mentor discuss you? It was a feeling of betrayal that's hard to shake. But trust me, despite that, you thrived. Even during a demo where teachers Typically engage by asking questions, this same former teacher urged colleagues to stay silent. It was a tough day, but Ryan, remember you've conducted countless successful demos with numerous supportive students and educators who believe in your work. Among numerous stories, these particular incidents sting the most. They linger in your thoughts constantly, but it's time to release them. They were part of the growth process, a reality of navigating entrepreneurship as a young Black woman. These experiences originating from teachers who taught you and occurred within your own district aren't encountered by other companies or white entrepreneurs. It's an unfair part of your story, yet it is what propelled you past those very teachers in your career. From your future self to you, you are more than enough. So those experiences is what Erica was talking about. That situation where I was supporting a group of teachers, and I went to go find a teacher. I had a meeting with this teacher, and the teacher so happened to be in the teacher lounge. And as I'm opening up the door to the teacher lounge, it gets quiet, and everyone looks at me. And that teacher who I was going to work with came out of the lounge and said to me, they were just sitting there having a huge conversation about you. And it had to be like 7 or 8 teachers that this happened. And it was embarrassing. It was words can't even describe how it felt, because teachers who were talking about me, I thought were teachers. Well, one of them was actually a math teacher of a math club that I was a part of when I was in 6th, 7th grade. And that very teacher was a teacher after I had my first assignment at that school. I went to and I said, like, hey, so what do you think about it? What can I improve on? And so I really looked up to that teacher. And so to hear that the conversation was about me in a negative light, I thought that was a situation that stung the most. And then in that very day before I had that incident in the teachers lounge, I did a demo lesson, and then this is where I go and I kind of take over the class and I teach in real time some of the things I'm training teachers on. And normally when you're in demos, and other teachers come watch, they want to like talk to students and kind of interact. And she instructed those teachers to not say anything, to not participate, to really just sit back and say nothing. And as I'm doing the demo, I couldn't understand like why they were all congregated in the back. I'm in the mix. And I couldn't also understand, as I do demos now. I just did a demo a few months ago out in a school in Klamath Falls, Oregon. And as I'm doing a demo in that school, teachers who come to watch are interacting with the students and they're talking. So that's the culture.
It's different outside New York City.
Yeah.
You're thinking outside the box. So my question, one last question, is what is your mission? Is your mission to give you some insight to what it is to be a teacher who's teaching teachers? Or is it about entrepreneurship as a Black woman?
It's about entrepreneurship as a Black woman. It's about encouraging other Black women that may be in situations not necessarily rooted in education, but situations in which you're in an environment where you're feeling very unwanted and you are passionate about what you're doing, but yet you're not in a receptive environment. How can you navigate through? Which is one of the reasons why I have that navigation part in there, because I feel like a lot of as you move up in careers, you are surrounded by people who do not look like you.
Yeah.
There's
especially in education.
Especially in education. But even just corporate world too. Like, the more you move up, there's less and less women CEOs, let alone Black women CEOs.
Exactly.
And so I'm sure that there are plenty of women that have dreams and goals, and a lot of it gets stunted because they have to overcome not only just doing the job right, but they have to overcome their audience, their environment, the culture of the place. It's so many obstacles you have to face. And then in that situation alone, I had to still work with those teachers. I still had to work with people who I knew was sitting there having a negative conversation. Absolutely. And I had to put that aside. I had to put my feelings aside. I couldn't at that moment, like the way that I wanted to cry, I couldn't even do it. First of all, I couldn't mess up my makeup because I was at work. But number two, you have no place to do that. Like, where can you do that? Where can you do that? And you don't have the time to do that. So it takes like so much intrinsic work for you to be able to go down this path. Because it's extremely hard to overcome. It's extremely hard to move past. It's hard. So that day was a very hard day at work for me, because after I did that demo, they came to me and said, well, what happened here? What happened here? What happened there? What happened there? And what I didn't receive from them is grace. You're going into a classroom, right, that you've never met these kids before. Think about as teachers, Auntie Elka. How long does it take for you and your kids to develop a routine where you actually know them? And
months. We're not doing it right September.
Yeah, because they're kids and they have to be able to trust you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you gotta trust you.
You always gotta sell yourself, even as a coach. You gotta sell yourself. You gotta sell yourself that you know what you're talking about, because they're always gonna push back. So so you're walking into an environment where these kids know nothing about you. You had no time to build rapport. And you're coming in trying to do a lesson that is outside of what their teachers do. So all of these obstacles you're walking into a demo doing, right? And so, of course, I am a firm believer that what I preach in my business works, not because I made it up, but because these are things that I've studied, that as a doctor now in education, I've synthesized a lot of the great things and just kind of put my spin on it. But I didn't make up any of this. This stuff is what the push of education is moving towards, because our kids are different. You cannot teach today's kids as you taught yesterday. That was John Dewey. Yep. I didn't say that. And so, you're coming into a demo facing the challenges of not knowing the kid. You're a whole brand new teacher with a new teaching style. You are working with kids that you know nothing about. Even think, as an educator, as a coach, how you have to diagnose your students to know how to help them, how to coach them. I don't have any of that. And so these teachers sat back under the leadership of somebody who I thought cared about me, because we had a prior relationship. I was her student. And so sat back at this demo, said nothing. I felt like sabotaged it in a way. And then at the end, critiqued the very things that was sabotage. And I still had to go in there, be professional about it. Can't be angry. Can't really have those feelings. I had to still put on a front. I had to navigate through how I felt in order to still do my job. And then on that same day, experience the talk of the teacher's lounge.
So, all right. So you say it was the teacher who taught you, right? Or you was you know what the thing is? This is what it was. To see how good you were doing up there, but instead of just saying, Ryan, you know what I'm saying?
People
oh my God, look.
By the good.
Yes, exactly. And that's what it was. That's exactly what it was. Instead of, I would have took it different. I would have been like, oh shoot, my student. Oh my God, you know what I'm saying? Oh my God, my student. Look at this.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
the energy is off.
Yeah, that is such a yes.
It's not a welcoming energy.
No, it wasn't.
And unfortunately, she knows. I've been through some of this.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. But if we go back to what Cat Williams was saying, if God is in your corner, it don't even matter what everybody else is talking about. It don't even matter.
Exactly.
And I'm not a guy who goes to church all the time. But I do believe in God.
Right.
Yeah.
I do believe in this God. I believe in God.
You better in this house.
and if he is in your corner, what she talking about, what he talking about, what they talking about, don't even matter.
Exactly.
It don't even matter.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
All right, so
Exactly.
we ready to grab our chicken and cake?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
As we do that, I'm going to let you guys munch. I'm just going to read this excerpt. And then, again, I want to say, again, a huge thank you to my special guests today. Not Just Sports.
By No Laps. Every
Okay.
Sunday morning,
You
9
can catch
a.m.
them.
Okay.
Okay, we're not even going to go
We
there.
talking that talk.
My significant other is not here, so I can't really, go into the sports lingo. But he's been very disappointed and ashamed of me because I've moved to Philly and
she
I
acting
now
up.
sit with the Eagles.
She came up with that. I was like, when I seen her with the Eagles, I was like,
up.
what is that?
I'm
She was like, I got my Eagles. I was like, oh, whatever.
Baby, you see, I said them. We fly high, right? Okay.
We fly high.
Thank you, Chef L, for the
thank
chicken
you.
and cake.
The pound cake is outstanding.
Can you pass me one?
I sure could.
You made the pound cake?
From scratch.
Are you? I was going to say,
listen, we don't use box stuff here.
Well, I was about to say.
You ain't here? She got that degree.
I'm sorry I even asked. That is a dumb question to me.
She said she got that degree.
We forgive you.
All right, so.
My wife would have put this and cut this off of Entenmann's and some fried chicken and put it next to it.
Thanking my auntie Erica, of course, for being here for the initial sound off of the podcast. Appreciate her thoughts and for reading my work. I'm so proud. Thank you. This is my first book ever, guys. I am actually working on my next one, but I really enjoyed this process. It's extremely therapeutic and empowering. So if you have not yet unmuted on your experiences and your navigation, I really encourage you to do this. So, unmute signifies breaking the silence, a powerful act of speaking up and sharing experiences that have been suppressed or overlooked. It denotes empowerment, urging for my voice to be heard despite societal expectations or limitations. The phrase navigating entrepreneurship suggests the challenges, hurdles, and triumphs faced in the world of business, particularly for someone like me, carving their path as a young entrepreneur. The addition of young, Black, and unapologetically ambitious women reinforces the intersectionality of my identity and experiences. It highlights the unique struggles and triumphs faced as a Black woman in entrepreneurship world, embracing ambition and determination in the face of adversity. So if you guys have not already, please follow us on Facebook, unmute, and thanks for joining our book and Brie Club.
Yeah,
that's it.
Very nice.
Very nice. We can do a little toasty toast.
For you.